Welcome to 60 Skills. Today we are going to have the answers to our Q&A. So let's begin. All right, first question. Can you review the value, purpose, or point of working with letters on all planes and the subsequent effect that occurs compared to just working with a letter or two on one or two planes? Thank you. All right. Well, first, the energy penetrates much deeper. And in many ways, what you're going to get is a much truer representation of the energy. You need to understand that the process of bringing the energy down through you and then elevating it back up really strengthens your relationship with that energy and makes it much easier to generate across all the planes at a later point in time. Now, of course, if you're working with a specific effect you're trying to generate, then of course you're going to need to focus more time on a particular plane of action. So, great question. Introspection is an essential part of IIH. Some say it is the most important part of the book. Do you introspect, and what is your opinion on this practice? Thank you. Yeah, it's important. You need to understand that journaling is perhaps the most important part of this. You see, as human beings, we are poor observers of our own behavior. And cognitive dissonance, or this kind of pattern your mind has set up regarding how reality functions, is going to assert itself given a chance. So introspection, and the journaling process in particular, gives us a chance to interrupt that system. Without that, it's really hard to progress. In fact, I've been told by many people that the quality of your journaling is indicative of the quality of your progress. So, great question. Is it necessary to complement Hermetic 60 Skills practice with some energy generation practice to control core pranayama qigong? Thanks. Depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for that enlightenment experience, then no. If you're looking to build magic then in the real world, then yeah, you're going to need a lot more power than you're going to get through the equilibrium-based process. One of the reasons why I stress the path of enlightenment first in this process is that if you just focus on magic from day one, most people never get there. By going through that enlightenment process first and then bringing it back down into the physical, it makes things much more replicable in the here and now. It also generates quite a bit of akasha and non-dual light, which in turn make you much more of an esoteric adult, so to speak, and allows you to engage with the spirit world on a much more even footing. If you work with Kabbalah, or the power of the letters in particular, this is especially true. So, great question. When it comes to electric and magnetic lines of resistance, is a bench press compound enough to use with it? Sure. Yeah, you can generate some really strong electric power that way, and you can even generate a little bit of magnetic. It's a little trickier. The one thing that I would suggest that you be careful with when you're bench pressing is when you're doing these static holds, the failure point is kind of hard to predict. So you're going to want to do that inside a cage or with lifts or protection. That way, in case you have a spontaneous failure of the bar, you don't hurt yourself. So good question though. Can you vibrate the letters if you're not a German dialect? Yes. And is there any other way to pronounce the letters with a vowel as the proper way others say is right? Okay, if you don't speak German, it doesn't have anything to do with this. The letters represent fundamental reality. I've met many people who do the exact same thing, people from India, people from unrelated traditions. Some systems are more comprehensive and others less so. You need to understand that most of the sounds that are being produced with the letters actually represent phenomena in nature. And the human vocal cords can't actually reproduce these accurately. So it's a matter of using that three-part concentration, color, sensation, and sound to get as close as you can. That's how you invoke the letters. And so it's not culturally specific. Like I've said, I've seen many different traditions and many different societies do the exact same thing. But in general, practitioners of this method are quite rare because of the time requirement to make it work. But good question. What other practices you need if you're only interested in enlightenment? Ultimately, equilibrium. Equilibrium, 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 transmutation into akasha and non-dual light. That gets you there. The whole 60 Skills curriculum is centered around creating the ability to do this. And one of the reasons why we focus on body training so much is the more integrated and the stronger your facial and ligament and tendons are, the more energy the body can move, and therefore the more energy you have available to you to transmute into these higher states. It's a part that's frequently left out of a lot of systems, and it's one of the reasons why systems take so long. That esoteric energy, whatever it is essentially the fuel for the engine. It's that fuel in the tank. That equilibrium process is the engine. So if you don't have any fuel, or you have very little fuel, you have to be super, super, super efficient with your motor. On the other hand, if you have a stronger motor or engine, and you've got tons of fuel, well, boom, it happens a lot faster. So, great. Can I work with letters anytime for short amounts of time? Yes, you should. This is how they become useful. Now, there's a certain amount of practice you have to get in to properly utilize the letters. And then once you hit that, it's a matter of working with them. As my teacher, Mark Rasmus, once said, the energy will do whatever it is you train the energy to do. So, get cracking. Can we use Barton's Kabbalah as some kind of instant magic? Yes. But the amount of energy you have to have access to and the amount of practice time you have in order to make that work are in fact extensive. And this is increasingly true as you bring it out of the Akasha into the mental, into the astral, and particularly into the physical. It's just a matter of how much energy it takes to pull it off and how much conditioning in your bodily systems you have to move the energy there. What should be my ultimate goal in spiritual practice? Well, if you're talking spiritual practice, clearly that's enlightenment. If you're talking magic, that's manifestation of some kind. And the tools used to train both of those are essentially the same. It's really just a matter of intention and which direction of reality you're trying to engage. So, great questions, everybody. Thank you for asking them, and we'll try to do these Q&As a little more frequently, because I know folks out there have some interest. And if you join any of the transmission sessions for the letters or the Egyptian evocation, there are Discord servers set up for members of those groups where you can talk to each other directly. So otherwise, train hard, be well, and I hope to see you again soon.